I don't know if you need the lights off. Alright, I don't know if either of you have taken the PPST yet, but the writing portion is gonna be a challenge if you don't know your punctuation marks. I'm gonna teach you some punctuation marks, the basic ones, so hopefully you can get your bearings down before you start writing. I formatted this lesson plan for about 45 minutes, but for time constraints we'll cut it down to about 20 or 10 or 15. We'll go over basic punctuation marks, the commas, semicolons, colons, parentheses, italics, and dashes. But like I said, for time constraints we'll probably just go over one or two of them today. So, first thing I want to show you is a little fun rap, kind of get you interested in punctuation. It's kind of a boring subject to some people, but this is a video that some kids made. It's on YouTube, and it's called Punctuation Rap, and it kind of goes over the main basic rules of the main punctuation marks. Let me see it.
Punctuation marks, they make your writing smart and keep your meaning clear in any situation. What you gonna do, what you gonna say, if you don't know punctuation? Punctuation marks, they make your writing smart and keep your meaning clear in any situation. Periods are first on our list of punctuation marks. They in every sentence before a new one starts. If you're using numbers in a list to outline, put one after every number and you will be fine. Next up is the question mark. It's a period with a curl on top. Use it after every question that you write down, and sometimes in Spanish it's upside down. The punctuation mark that we use the most is called a comma, and that is no joke. If you have to list several things in a row, use a comma to help keep your flow. For example, I have bacon, eggs, cereal, and juice for breakfast. Use commas in your address to separate the street from the city, and the city from your state. And also when you write down dates like January 2nd, 2008, phrases and words that describe different terms are set off by commas. Now listen and learn. Music, a collection of sounds, is the way we get down. Two related ideas put together by a comma are called a compound sentence. No need for drama. Punctuation confused me for a long time, but now it's easy because I learned this rhyme. What you gonna do, what you gonna say, if you don't know punctuation? Punctuation marks, they make your writing smart and keep your meaning clear in any situation. What you gonna do, what you gonna say, if you don't know punctuation? Punctuation marks, they make your writing smart and keep your meaning clear in any situation. An exclamation point expresses strong feeling, like excitement when somebody is screaming. Enclose the words of the speaker in quotation marks. They tell you when the talking stops and starts. When you have to break a word into syllables, cause the line that you're on is getting full, use a hyphen. Put a hyphen at the end of one syllable and continue the word on the next line. That's a hyphen. Compound words are also linked with the hyphen.
Alright, I'm not going to put you through any more of that. So, I don't know. I think in high school people might laugh at that, or some kids might find interest in that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over some of the most common ones that we know. What do you think is the most common punctuation mark?
Comma.
Period.
Both of you are right, but the most commonly used one is the comma. Hopefully all of you know what a comma looks like. I'll draw one for you. We just saw it on the video. This is a comma. If I had a marker board, it'd be a little bit more easier. A little bit easier. That's a comma. Like they said, the main function that we use is for list or to set off, to join into independent clauses. So, do either of you know any independent clauses?
I had bacon.
Okay, that was on the video. Independent clauses are, they have a subject and a verb and they can stand alone. The opposite of independent clause is obviously a dependent clause. The way I think about that is one thing depends on another, so a dependent clause can stand alone. So it has to have a subject and a verb, and it can stand alone. So for instance, independent clause that could stand by itself would be, road construction can be inconvenient, but it is necessary. So it is necessary and road construction can be inconvenient are both independent clauses, and then they're joined by a coordinating conjunction, which is but, and, or, for, such as, stuff like that. Also, you can use it, like we said, to list things. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you this worksheet here and just see what you can do before I go on. I just want to gauge how well you guys know your grammar. So here's this, and here's this. And as we go through this, I'm going to go over the next couple punctuation marks while we go. That way you can pick up on some stuff. But I've got the answers, because I don't know. Okay, the first one, once you're done with that one, we'll go through it and see what you guys came up with. I'm going to go ahead and go through the next couple. Actually, just keep working on that and I'll go through these. The other common ones are semicolons. Semicolon is very similar to a comma. It joins two independent clauses. But the second part of the independent clause has to relate to the first one. So if we were working on that road construction sentence again, you could say something similar to road construction in Dallas has hindered travel around town, semicolon, streets have become covered with bulldozers, trucks, and cones. That'd be a good sentence. I don't know if you can see, but it's got the semicolon there. Colons are the next one. Also, they are used to join two independent clauses, only to emphasize the second clause. So, with the road construction sentence that we've been working on, road construction in Dallas has hindered travel around town, colon, parts of Main, 5th, and West Street are closed during the construction. So, the first independent clause is road construction in Dallas has hindered travel around town. Then the second part is what we want to emphasize, which is Main, 5th, and West Street. The main reason people use colons are for lists, quotations, positives, or any other idea directly related to the independent clause. So once again, it's emphasis on the independent clause. So if we said Eric went to the store for some groceries, you could say colon after groceries and then list like milk, protein drink, carrots, hair gel, stuff like that.
Protein drinks, hair gel.
Well, Eric, what's another time when you think you'd use a colon? Just.
Well, on this one, on number 2, I put it before. It listed a bunch of countries.
Right. So did you put it after airlift?
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly where a colon would go there. You have your independent clause at the beginning. So several countries participate in the airlift. That by itself is a sentence. So if you didn't have Italy, Belgium, France, and Luxembourg afterwards, it'd still be a sentence. So it's independent. It can stand by itself. The colon there is used for the list, like Eric said. So that's good.
And I did one on number 1 too, after a question.
Number 1, I haven't gotten to yet. I'll go over that now. Number 1 is parentheses. They're used to emphasize content. So they put more emphasis on what's enclosed inside the parentheses instead of more emphasis than a comma would. Use parentheses to set off non-essential material. So for instance, it says the men in question, Harold, Keene, Jim Peterson, and Gerald Green deserve awards. It's non-essential material, the names, so if you put those there, you could technically cut those out of the sentence, right? What did you guys get for number, let me see, number 8?
I put a colon
Where'd you put the colon at?
after following.
Right. And
Then you underline it.
actually, on this one, I'll go on to the next one. It's quotation marks. So after following would be colon, like you said, and then quotation mark before A, and then after himself, after the complete sentence. So the parenthesis or the quotation mark would come after the period. And quotation marks are used to enclose direct quotations. So or for example, you could say he asked, "When will you be arriving?" And that would be in quotation marks. And then if I answered, I could say sometime after 7 o'clock in quotations. So you can also use quotation marks around titles of short poems, song titles, short stories, things like that. So Eric, what's your favorite song right now? Alright, Party in the USA
Yeah.
would be in quotations by Miley Cyrus. So, Eric's favorite song, Party in the USA, in quotation marks by Miley Cyrus.
Precisely.
Let's go ahead and look
It
at...
doesn't make you listen to man.
What's that? I was gonna say What Is Love.
That's a great song too. Let's look at number 13. What did you come up with for number 13?
Oh. Colon.
Right. After...
Cars.
Correct. So, what would your independent clause in number 13 be?
The automobile dealer handled 3 makes of cars.
Correct. So that sentence can sit by itself without having to depend on another dependent clause or independent clause. Usually with this lesson plan, I would typically my goal of this lesson would to have a 9th or 10th grade student be able to write a complete paper, a polished paper without any grammatical errors. So I would go through all of this prior to handing out the worksheet, but for time constraints, we went through it at the same time. I would get this back, and if there'd be questions, I would give them the sheet back and tell them how I want the punctuation done, and then I would get them off on their independent assignment. So, as a closure, I'm going to show you this website. I've been using this website for quite a while. It's called the OWL, Purdue OWL. It's the online writing lab. It's got a lot of tools that you can use. The particular exercise that we did today is taken from OurExercise.com. Sorry. And it's got a lot of exercise that will help you if you guys are nervous for writing on the PPST, or if you're a high school student taking the ACT. It goes into further detail about independent and dependent clauses, just pretty much everything you can think of in terms of punctuation and grammar. So, cool beans.
Done?
I'm done.